Welcome back to Autism Live. Really excited right now because this is the third try because we kept rescheduling on her, but Audrey Hughes is here with us. She is the founder and the executive director of a program called Free to Be. Welcome to the show. Glad that this finally worked out and we finally got you here. I've been really excited about this, and I know our viewers have been excited. But let's start with asking you, what is Free to Be?
Okay, well, Free to Be programs I developed actually way back in 1980 and had residential summer camps for children with autism and other developmental disabilities, so they had the opportunity to enjoy things that other children get to enjoy, the neurotypical children.
I'll bet you were popular for having created that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wonderful. And then that morphed into...
Me and my husband at the time, we got incorporated as a nonprofit in 1984, and we started with group homes, which were at that time, because we're talking 35 years ago, 6-bed homes in the community where you had around-the-clock staff, and we had children that were very, very behaviorally challenged. Mm-hmm. With their developmental. And then in 1993, we opened up a new program so that children with developmental disabilities with behavior challenges can have a more natural environment. And that was our, what is licensed as a foster family agency. And we recruit, train, and support families to provide a home, stable home in a family environment. So the relationships are consistent. There's no turnover in staff. They're not young staff. They're really mature people, and it's a shared parenting model where it's this what we call the support family, the natural family, and us as an agency working together to help the individual and the family.
Wonderful. So it's not a question of, you and I were just talking before we went live, and I was saying, you know, there's a stigma attached to this idea of placing your child in another living situation, that a lot of times as parents are transitioning and getting accustomed to this idea, they will express that they feel like they are giving up or that the world is going to think that they failed by doing this. And nothing could be further from the truth.
That's correct. You know the adage about it takes a village to raise a child, and our children especially. And sometimes, you know, it ends up being better for the child and the family because you're very close. It's very hard to be objective with your own child.
Yes.
And so to get them to their fullest potential, living full time with you might not be the best.
Yeah.
And then I have a 35-year-old autistic daughter who I had to place when she was 8 because we had a baby and she couldn't handle the baby. Everybody's circumstances are different for the reasons that they might have to seek out-of-home placement. But she's higher functioning and she is doing so well, and she'll tell me all of her placements. I mean, she had a group home and then she went into more of a family environment. All she has is positive memories. And she wouldn't be as far along as she is now if she had stayed home, even though I'm in the field.
Yes.
She's my own daughter, but I wasn't able to provide this objective situation to be able to serve her, to help her reach her full potential.
And I'm sure, though, when you were going through that couldn't have been easy.
No, especially because I was a professional in the field.
Yeah. But looking back, everybody in the situation is able to look back and go, this all worked out for the best.
Yes.
And I see that a lot as parents, especially the moms, because I'm sure the dads are feeling it too, but they bottle it up inside.
Yes.
The moms will say it, and while they're going through the transition, they'll say, I feel like I failed. I feel like this is me giving up. I feel like the world is going to judge me and look at me and say that I'm not an autism mom anymore, that I'm not a special needs mom, and that I relinquished my kid. After they go through the transition and their child is successfully placed, it's a much different story, and they go, I wish I knew back then how I would feel now, and I wish I knew back then how much my child would flourish.
Right. And the thing is, too, we do have a children's program and an adult program, and we've had some individuals that started with us as a child and are in the same family now as an adult 15, 20 years. So they've had that length of stability and they're doing very well and are happy. And it is, like I said, a shared parenting model. So you are not relinquishing your child, whether it's a child under 18 or an adult. And it's just like neurotypical children go off to college.
Exactly.
Or if you had a situation where your child's an incredible gymnast and the best gymnastics coach, she wants to go to the Olympics, is in Ohio.
Yep.
So you have to send her out there so that she can reach her full potential in gymnastics.
Yes.
Same thing. We want our children to reach their full potential in life.
Yes.
And then you've got the situation where we all get older. So if you are able to have your child at home still when they're minors, but what's going to happen with your autistic child when they're an adult, 20,
Yes.
30, 40, you need to have a plan.
Yeah.
And you'd rather be around when the child's making that transition than you'll have no say where the person goes if you do pass away or something health-wise goes bad.
This is, I think, our biggest fear, right, is what happens when we're not here. And by making this transition, I know people who have said to their kids all along, just like their other kids, you will go and live someplace else because that's what people do.
Right.
You reach a certain age and you will go and live someplace else. For some of our kids, they will go and live someplace as a transition, like a dorm, where there is support for them. Others, will need more support than that. And maybe it won't be a dorm situation. Others will go and get an apartment.
Right.
But different things for different people.
Exactly.
Okay, so you mentioned that you have the adult program and you have the kids program. What are the differences between those two programs?
Well, the children's program is, of course, ages 2 to 18, and usually they'll stay in that program to 22 when they leave high school.
Uh-huh.
And then they can just stay in that home if they want to, because it's a family.
Yes.
There's no maxing out age limit wise.
Okay.
So they could that home, if everybody's happy, that person wants to stay in that home, the support family is capable of continuing care, and the natural family wants to continue with their adult individual in that home, they just convert to our adult program.
Okay.
And they can maintain in their environment they're used to and have that stability. And they're not competing with 3 to 5 other people with developmental disabilities. They're in a natural environment, and it's a family. And it's not like you're giving them up to another family. You're providing that natural environment that, you and we wouldn't want to go live in a group home.
Right. No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, so it gives them an opportunity to have a more natural, stable life, because to be real honest with you, when you go into group settings, you have staff that stay 6 months, change over. There's no stability.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about these people that sign up to do this. The parents that, who are these people that take individuals into their home?
It's a very wide range. We have people that are very, that are religious and are doing it for blessings, because they feel they want to help. Yes. They do that. We have people that have family members that are developmentally disabled or autistic. Majority of our individuals that we serve are autistic.
Interesting.
So they want to do it.
Yes.
They see. And everybody has different aptitudes. They say, well, if I as a family can do it and I love my child, how can this other family do it? Well, it's because, one, their circumstances are different.
Yeah.
2, the child doesn't have them wrapped around their little finger.
Right, they don't have all that history.
That history. They can be more objective.
Yeah.
And children, whether they're neurotypical, autistic, intellectual disability, they are better for other people than they are for their own parents.
Isn't that the truth?
Yes.
Isn't that the truth?
So then they can reach their full potential. And what's nice about our program, like I'm repeating this another time, shared parenting.
Yes.
You can be as involved as you want or as little as you want.
There you go.
You can see them every weekend. You can go take them out during the week. You can have them overnight for 2 weeks of winter break. Whatever you want.
There you go.
There is no limit to your visitation and your involvement.
Okay, so if somebody is watching this, they go, I have place in my home, I could do this. Where would they go to apply? How do they do that?
Okay, they would call Free to Be Programs at 818-366-6682.
Okay. Now, I imagine that's the phone number on either side. So if somebody has a child that they would like to place, they can call that number as well. Now, you guys are just in the Los Angeles area? Is that
we're
true?
mostly in LA County. Most of our certified homes, our support homes, are in the Antelope Valley, Lancaster and Palmdale.
Okay.
And then we have a few of our adult homes down here in the San Fernando Valley. We always are recruiting. We need you good-hearted people to open up your hearts and home to provide a loving environment for these special people. And to do that, you just call, you get an orientation, and there's a process of a home study. And just so you parents that are looking for placement need to know, they're fully background checked.
Yeah, I would imagine.
FBI, DOJ, child abuse,
Yeah.
the whole shebang.
Yeah.
And references, and it's a training process. And there is a compensation for people that do decide to do this. It's what's called a stipend.
Yes.
And it's a non-taxable income because it's not really income, it's a reimbursement.
Got it.
And it ranges from, I think right now our level 1, which are for individuals that are really not as behaviorally difficult, is I think starts around 2,100, and to the most difficult right now is at 2,500 a month.
Okay. So somewhere in that range.
Yes.
For having the, it's interesting because I was just talking with somebody the other day about our kids are getting older, and we've gone through all the autism training with our kids, and our kids are doing better now, and they're about to, graduate and go to college, and we were like, what do we do with that now? But maybe that's an answer for in our autism retirement, that we take other individuals into our homes.
Oh, yes.
Something to consider, because all that knowledge that we've all gained in doing this, pay it forward, right? Okay, so I want to know all the things that a parent would need to do if they wanted to place a child, and what the timeline is, and how that sort of works.
For placing their child or their adult child, they have to contact their regional center worker.
Okay.
And tell them that they want their child or adult child to be referred to free to be programs.
Okay,
for
and they have to
possible
specifically ask for free to be.
If they're interested in art, yes.
Okay.
Because there's other placements, there's group homes, there's
Yes.
supported living, there's a whole
But I
range of
love this
options.
model that you guys
Yes.
have. That's really amazing. Okay, so they say to the regional center here in California, I want my child to be considered for placement. I can speak. Free to be. And then about how long does the process? Is it like a 6-month process?
No, it could be quick if you're in an urgent situation.
Okay.
If you're let's say you have a health condition and you're not in
Yes.
need immediate, you can do a 21-day respite to start.
Okay.
Or it could the process usually is you have your regional center worker refer, but you might have, depending on your worker, you might have to stay on top of them.
Okay, yes, they're busy. We know that, yes.
So once they get the referral packet, we review it, and then we call you and say we'd like to set up an intake.
Okay.
And then we have you come into our office. We talk to you about our program in more depth. We ask you more questions about your child, whether it's your minor child or an adult child.
Right.
Because paperwork just tells you so much.
Yes.
It's very different than the actual individual and what you're really dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and what your goals are.
Yes.
And then if we feel we have an opening that would be a good match for your child, we would have you go, we would talk to that family, and then we'd have you go meet them with your child. If that goes well and you want to look further, you can do what we would do is a weekend visit.
Okay.
See if they match, see if the child, make the child be part of the decision making. And then if that goes well, it's up to you. You can do another weekend, or we could say, okay, let's try it with a 21-day respite first.
Right.
Or we could just say, okay, this is a good match. Let's move forward to placement.
We've got a lot of people online that are having a lot of debate about this right now, and there's a lot of emotion. And I just want to say that I know early on that this would have brought up a bunch of emotion for me, and I couldn't have even considered this.
Right.
And I will tell you early on, I since I couldn't consider it for myself, I wouldn't have considered it for anybody else. Mm-hmm. That it has only been being in this community for over 12 years now and seeing all the varied and different things and circumstances that people have,
Yes.
that I now look at this and go, thank goodness that Audrey exists and that this program exists, because there are families that cannot, whether I can think of circumstances right off the top of my head where, we've had Vena Tiero on the show before. She has 2 boys that are on the spectrum, and her youngest boy would hit her. and he hit her, and so many times that she was laying on the sidewalk and didn't know if she was going to survive it. And she loves that boy as much as anybody can love anybody. There is no doubt in my mind that, you know, that there's nothing that Vena wouldn't do for her boys. And one of her boys is doing very well at college and being very successful, but her other son was hitting her, and she's a single mom.
Yep.
And it broke her heart to even begin the discussion, but she knew in her gut that she had to.
Right, and
he's doing great now.
That's right, and you're not giving up on your child. You're getting help for your child.
That's right.
You are not giving, and it's not in cement, meaning because you're not relinquishing control.
Right. So you can bring him back home if it's not working.
Exactly.
There you go.
Or
and it's not for everybody.
Right.
It is not for everybody. But for the people who need this kind of support, it's amazing that it's there, because I have been there with a parent who is not able to continue with their child and didn't know where
to go.
What do you do then? And family members were like, don't talk to me, you know, because I have my own life.
Right.
And, okay, so.
But then for people, for this to work is we need families that are willing to open up their heart and home to children or adults with autism. And we only place 2 individuals per home, no more. So they get a lot of individual attention. And not only that is all the adults will have their own room. Where in group homes, they don't really get that option.
Right,
you know.
right. And for the younger ones, though, sometimes they're sharing a room?
Sometimes, but we do encourage individuals. But it wouldn't be more than one person. You can share with the children, they can share with one person. But it has to be a good match.
And so you really started this because you had a particular heart for this and wanted to make sure that people had a safe home and a safe place to be where the parent didn't feel like they were abandoning them, you know, because of what you were going through. But now that you see all the success stories that have come from it and you've grown and developed, do you have a desire to take this and bring it to other places, or you're just going to be happy staying in LA?
Well, there's a possibility. I mean, we do have one home in Simi Valley. We used to have several homes in Simi Valley. We do have one home, adult home now. There used to be a children's home in Ranchos Palos Verdes. But it's still LA County. Simi Valley is Ventura County. We will expand if we need to, but also part of the reason we do so well is we're not trying to become a big conglomerate.
That's the word.
But my goal is to help the individuals, not to become a big business.
Right. But if I'm wondering, so if somebody's watching this in Kansas and saying, I need to place my child, and we don't have this, would you be interested in mentoring somebody to tell them how to start this in their community?
Oh, sure.
There you go.
But I don't know the different laws and regulations in different states.
And then one more question then for the parent in terms of who pays for this?
Well, in our state, regional center.
Okay.
What happens? Okay, let's talk a little bit about that. With children, with anybody that goes into placement, they get Social Security. Okay, so the Social Security pays for a portion.
All right.
Okay, and then regional center pays for the rest. But if the child's under 18, it has nothing to do with us, it's the state. You have to pay a parental fee until your individual's 18, and it's based on your income. Okay. And you can appeal the first amount and tell them all your expenses. I think now it's like from $0 to $500 a month.
Okay.
But that's
so at the maximum $500.
Yeah, that's
a month.
Again, I don't know.
I think a lot of people pay more than that for childcare.
Yeah.
So you know,
right.
And certainly a lot more than that for ABA.
Yes. And so the parental fee doesn't come to us. It's a state thing to help develop other programs, but that's just until your child's 18. If you have an adult child, even if you're their conservator, there is no fee.
Okay. And then do you guys give training to the families to be able to deal with the challenging behaviors, and or do they get that on their own?
No. We do everything. And there's a behavior, I didn't tell this part.
Yeah. Leaving the good stuff out, you guys. Okay.
We have a social worker in our agency that has no more than 12 to 15 children or adults on their caseload. Okay. 6 to 7 families. And they go out minimum of 3 times a month to the home. Okay. And we also have a board-certified behavior analyst that goes out monthly to work with the families, design behavior programs, do training, do with the child, and
Okay.
show the support families, different ways to handle different situations.
This is all incredible.
But there is not just want to make it clear, there's not like a weekly behaviorist that comes in and works directly with the child. They're more of a person that's working with the family, a little bit with the child, but to give the family, because the family themselves, the support family,
Yeah.
is actually the behaviorist that will be providing the treatment to the child.
But I
or
would
adult.
imagine if you had an adult and you had services for them that you were doing, an intervention, you could transfer that to the, let's say you had insurance, and through insurance
Yes.
your child was getting
Yes.
ABA, they could go live in the home, your
And
child would
still get
still get the
ABA.
ABA.
Yes, we have
but on
several of
top
those cases.
On top of that, you would have the BCBA
Yes.
consulting. Our jargon of the day today was BIP. So the BCBA would come to
Yes.
the home and help the family to implement whatever the behavior intervention plan was in the home.
Correct.
It's
And then we
amazing.
also are advocates. We go to the IEPs, we work, or the day program, and we work with trying to keep everybody on the same page
Yeah.
and make suggestions, because sometimes day programs or schools just don't have what it takes.
Well, that's a nice way of saying it, isn't it, Audrey? We are unfortunately out of time,
Okay.
but this has been lovely, and I'm glad that we had the opportunity to let people know that at least this exists here in the Los Angeles area, and that if you want to know more about this, where can they go, Audrey?
Again, well, we do have a website. Actually, we're going to be redoing it, but we still have a website up. That is www, of course, ftbp,
Free to be.
right, .org.
Okay.
And then, or they can call the 818-366-6682 number.
Okay. And so if you want to know more about it, whether you live in Los Angeles or live someplace else and you want to pick Audrey's brain, she's,
Yes.
she said you could do that. Isn't that lovely? Thank you so much for this
thank you for
wonderful
having
service
me.
to the community.
Thank you for having me.
Because for families who are facing this, you're making it infinitely easier.
Thank you. And
which
then
is
also hoping to find people that will also want to be a
That's
support family.
right. If we've got anybody out there who feels like their heart and their home is
Or they
big
have
enough,
a family member that wants to do it.
there you go.
A friend.
That's a very cool thing.